Asbestos, once the solution to thousands of industrial needs, is now recognized as one of society's leading health hazards. With proper respect and precaution, the asbestos hazard can be dealt with effectively and efficiently. In this program, you will learn what asbestos is and where it is found, the health hazards associated with it, proper protective measures, and compliance with government regulations. Asbestos, a word that comes from the Greek adjective meaning inextinguishable, is a naturally occurring mineral. Although it is mined as dense rock, it easily separates into a mass of fine fibers, sometimes as light and fluffy as down. Asbestos fibers have been used by mankind for centuries. The ancients referred to asbestos as the magic mineral. Their amazement was based on the same reasons that hold true some 2,000 years later in today's industrial applications: its strength, resistance to chemical reactions, and heat tensile. From the burial gown of Julius Caesar to insulation, brake linings, fireproofing, floor tiles, roofing material, cement, and more, the uses of asbestos seem almost endless. Asbestos has been used in the construction of buildings for many years. It has been used for thermal insulation, fireproofing, and acoustical insulation. Asbestos has been molded, troweled, and sprayed onto pipes, heating ducts, furnaces, ceilings, and steel reinforcing beams. Asbestos was mixed with a variety of adhesives to allow it to stick to the overhead structures. It may appear as a soft, fluffy material adhering to beams and floor structures, or it may have been mixed with cement. If mixed with cement, the asbestos fibers are completely bound in the cement matrix and are less likely to become airborne. Of all the asbestos produced in the world, 95% is chrysotile, often referred to as white asbestos. The remaining asbestos minerals of commercial value are amosite, brown asbestos, and crucidolite, blue asbestos. These three types, chrysotile, white, amosite, brown, and crucidolite, blue, will be referred to as asbestos throughout the remainder of this program. All three types of asbestos contain the same common characteristics which can make them a hazard to your health. In a bonded state, asbestos poses no physical danger. It is only when the material is broken, damaged, or exposed, and the fibers become airborne that it becomes a threat to your health. Asbestos fibers can become airborne through mechanical abrasion, drilling, or sawing, and so forth. The condition of the asbestos material will greatly affect the release of asbestos fibers into the air. Water will damage most asbestos applications and allow the fibers to become airborne more easily. During the installation of cables, ducts, and other systems, which must be attached to the building for support, asbestos may become airborne. Caution must be taken not to disturb any asbestos-containing materials. Asbestos fibers, undetectable by the human eye, are carried into the body as airborne particles. Once asbestos fibers become airborne, they can spread throughout the workplace via air currents and ventilation systems. Unprotected workers can inhale these fibers into their lungs. Through built-in defense mechanisms, the body traps some of these fibers in the nose and throat. But it is those fibers that pass through to the lungs and become embedded in the alveoli, air sacs, that cause adverse health effects. Our bodies contain millions of these tiny air sacs that are surrounded by blood vessels and separated from air by a thin membrane. By diffusion, these membranes remove waste carbon dioxide gas from the body and supply new oxygen to the blood. Once an asbestos fiber enters the alveoli, it cannot be removed. Over a period of time, scar tissue begins to form, hindering the oxygenation process. This emphysema-like condition, referred to as asbestosis, causes a shortness of breath. As it worsens, oxygen starvation sets in. Permanent physical disability and/or even death may be the eventual result. Other disabling and fatal diseases caused by years of unprotected exposure to asbestos include lung cancer and mesothelioma, a cancer that spreads rapidly in the cells of the membrane covering the lungs. Asbestos is also suspected to cause cancer in various organs of the digestive tract. If you are a worker who smokes and have also been exposed to asbestos, you have a 90 times greater risk of contracting cancer than a worker who doesn't smoke. If you work around asbestos and smoke, you should seriously consider giving up smoking. Before beginning work involving asbestos, an initial exposure assessment must be performed by a trained, competent person to determine expected exposures. This is essential in deciding what control system to put into place. Regulated activities must be established when the airborne concentration level of asbestos fibers exceeds 0.1 fibers per cubic centimeter of air averaged over an 8-hour day. Rules and regulations must be strictly observed in regulated areas to ensure your own safety and the safety of those who work with you. In some instances, there may be a negative initial exposure assessment, meaning that exposure during the operation is demonstrated to be consistently below the permissible exposure level. To ensure your safety and the safety of others in adjacent areas, two types of air monitoring are conducted: personal and area. Both are performed using the same type of air filter. Personal air samples, which monitor your potential exposure, are taken in the breathing zone with a portable pump attached to the worker. Area samples are taken with a stationary high-volume air pump and serve three main purposes. 1. To determine background concentration of airborne asbestos prior to the start of asbestos-related work. 2. To ensure engineering controls such as negative air machines are functioning properly during asbestos work. And 3. To make sure the area is free of airborne asbestos fibers upon completion of any work involving friable asbestos. The medical surveillance program for asbestos and other exposed individuals includes a medical history questionnaire with an expanded respiratory health section, a pulmonary function test, and chest X-ray. In addition, a complete physical examination by a licensed physician with emphasis on the respiratory, cardiovascular, and digestive systems is made available annually at no cost to the employee. Employee training includes the material presented in this program. Prohibited activities in a regulated area include eating, drinking, smoking, chewing tobacco or gum, or applying cosmetics. Warning signs bearing the following information must be placed at all approaches to the regulated area. Warning labels stating the following must be placed on all raw materials, mixtures, scrap waste, debris, and other products containing asbestos fibers. And as the first sign stated, respirators and protective clothing must be worn in the regulated area. Since the asbestos hazards occur when the airborne fibers enter your body through your respiratory system, the respirator is the most important piece of protective equipment you will use. There is a large selection of OSHA-approved respirators for asbestos work. It is important to note, however, that paper dust mask respirators must not be used when working with asbestos. Because of the important role the respirator plays in protecting you from the health hazards associated with asbestos, it is crucial that you have a complete understanding of how it works and proper fitting techniques. Asbestos is one of the most dangerous respiratory hazards in the workplace today. These guidelines and regulations are provided for your personal protection. Properly respected, you can control the hazard and ensure your safety.